Hello there, my friends, and welcome to a draft recap, or draft analysis, I should say, of my WPA team. I know this seems it's a slight tad late. I'm really upset about that, but this is the only time I could record it, so I'm going to try my hardest to make sure that you guys get the content that is required. So, anyway. Thank you guys so much for joining this video. We are your coach of the New York Cosmogs. I am Phantom Base, in case you do not know. Yeah, let's get started right in on this. So, this is a league run by myself and Jacob, as always. And Jacob's a really good buddy of mine, and I'm really happy that we got to start this league because it was a lot of fun. We decided to allow, as you can clearly tell, some Ubers in this league. And before I go any further, I want to say that we allowed a lot of different Ubers in, but nothing so busted that we couldn't handle it properly. You know, things like Kieran White weren't allowed, or like Deoxys of any form. Honestly, wasn't allowed. I actually think we allowed Deoxys Speed and Deoxys. Yeah, we allowed Deoxys Speed and Deoxys Defense, but we didn't allow any other ones. No Marshadow. Nothing crazy broken, you know, but things that we thought could be managed, and honestly, so far it's proven to work out pretty well. So, spoilers, some matches have already happened, so we'll go over that here in a little bit. Anyway, I would like to go over my draft with you guys. So, the first one, we got to choose between 9 and 12 Mons, with a point total of 125 points, and these points could also double, or these points also doubled as our pricing for Z Crystal users. So obviously the Ubers were priced at 20, and you were only allowed one of them. We were allowed a max of 3 Z Crystal users and a minimum of, honestly, 1, or if you wanted to go 0 you could, but no one does that. So anywho, we are gonna hop right into this, and obviously our first pick, I think we were picked like number 2 or 3 or something. I can't remember. We were kind of early in the draft, so we picked up Dialga because this thing has a stupid good move pool. And obviously our 20-point Mon, our Uber couldn't have Z Crystal usage. But yeah, this thing has some crazy fun coverage. It gets rocks, it gets Thunder Wave, it gets Bolt Beam coverage, I believe. Actually, yes, it gets Bolt Beam coverage, and it's base 120 attack, 150 special attack is just stupid ridiculous to deal with. It's dual coverage, and we are allowed to run the orbs, so I can run Adamant Orb. If I so choose. Yeah, this Pokemon is really good, and I wanted to make sure that I grabbed this thing early because I like the versatility it gave me. No, it does not get. Sadly, it doesn't get any setup as far as like Rock Polish or anything like that. But it gets Bulk Up, it gets Hone Claws, I believe, and it can get some. And it can be really, really useful. Also, can run a Trick Room set if I so choose. Makes it really fun to use, and as a wall breaker, or even as a wall, this thing could be really good in the right matchups. So this is one of those mods you kind of obviously you bring every match. And I mean, pressures there was really good to wear down some PP. And anyway, so the next mon I decided to grab is something that mostly complemented Dialga, in the fact that it's weak to ground, it's weak to fighting, and on top of that, Dialga handles this thing's ice weakness, poison weakness, and flying weakness. And it's fire. To a degree, it's fire weakness. It's obviously this thing's overall bulk is ridiculous, but my next Pokemon is Tapu Bulu, and clearly this thing is a monster. The speed stat's nothing to be happy about, but like its bulk, its raw power with base 130 attack plus boosted grass moves under terrain. It gets Nature's Madness. It gets plus coverage like Mega Horn. It gets Bulk Up or SD, and it gets dual screens. It can run Rock Slide or Stone Edge Superpower. It can be a Stall Breaker set if I want it to be. This thing actually is not one of my Z Crystal users, and it's because I felt this thing could be a more support role with the team that I've drafted. But like, if I'm going to be running it, anything offensive, it's going to be like a Meadow Plate, or we're going to be running Scarf or Band, something like that. So our next Pokemon I decided was going to be more of Speedmon, something that I really wanted to be able to use as some momentum to get me into Tapu Bulu or into Dialga, and that would be Tornadus Therian, and this is one of our Z Crystal users. With Regenerator, this thing is crazy good. With that speed stat of 121, we tie with things like Naganadel. We tie with we tie with Naganadel, and we can chew hits pretty well with an Assault Vest or what have you. Hurricane Spam is always nice. Bird Spam is really good in the format. U-Turn is always appreciated with Regenerator. This thing is also a fast taunter, and it actually gets access to Defog now, which is something that I really appreciate on this team. As you'll see, I don't have a whole lot of hazard removal, but what I do have is good. So, with that, next Pokemon I decided to grab, and this thing, like I said, it does a few things, but what it does well, and it's what I needed out of this thing. I'm kind of developing an ice weakness though, and we do cover that in the next few mons. That one, the concept of this entire draft is I wanted to grab Hazard Stack. I wanted to get a lot of rock setters, a lot of toxic spike setters in particular, and just really punish or capitalize on that. And that is no exception with this next pick, which is Nihilego. Oof, I love this mon so much. Nihilego is really good in this format. That base 103 stat, outpacing Garchomp, and the combination of Rock and Poison is really hard to resist. And the things that do resist it don't handle well with Dialga or Tapu Bulu. And the crazy thing is that if it handles both of them, it doesn't handle my next set of Pokemon. But no, this thing, while getting, I don't think it gets rock polish actually, which is really sad. But it doesn't need rock polish. This thing, you can run enough speed in it to get it to. This thing is really good scarf. It's a great scarfer. And I was considering between Tornadus and Nihilego as Z Crystal users. And I ultimately opted with this one, even though they're the same point value. I opted with Tornadus because it appreciates the power boost more. Nihilego is going to be Scarfed, or it's going to be Expert Belt, or Air Balloon, or Black Sludge even more often than it's going to be Z Crystal. So I felt it necessary to use that, or maybe be Shook Berry, Berry Berry, something like that. And I felt it necessary to run that kind of set. So with that, yeah, this thing is really crazy good. With moves like Foul Play, which are underappreciated, Knockoff is always nice. We can also run screens on this, double screens on this thing too. Sludge Wave, Rocks and Toxic Spikes are really good. Its coverage is quite surprising with things like Psychic, Dazzling Gleam, Grass Knot. Acid Spray is always nice. You can also run obviously the Power Gem Sludge Wave combo. Thunderbolt is really nice. And then, like I said, just Toxic Spikes is really good to have on this thing if you're going to a more defensive set. Now, the next Pokemon I decided to grab was another Hazard Removal, as well as another Toxic Spiker, in case I didn't want to bring Nihilego. And that Pokemon is Tentacruel. This thing really helps me patch up that ice weakness I was talking about. And now this, and it's really, really helpful with this mon. I really like Tentacruel. Its speed stat is really nice for a defensive Pokemon. Yeah, it's not got the greatest physical defense stat, but the HP stat really helps cover with that, and its Spadef is really good. Something that Nihilego also kind of shares with that. This thing can be a really fat Spadef wall if I want it to be, but this thing in particular is really good with what it does. It sets up hazards or removes them. It can get me. It's got a bunch of good abilities, and it's got some good coverage here with things like Giga Drain. It gets Icy Wind, Dazzling Gleam, Knock Off. I think it's Dazzling. Yeah, it gets D-Gleam, it gets Hex, Knock Off. One thing is it gets Swords Dance, so you can run an offensive set if I so chose. But I doubt I would go that route, but if I wanted to, I could. And this thing also gets Infestation, so I can run an Infestation Toxic set with like Protect and I don't know, this thing's just crazy. It's not very versatile as far as what most people use it for, but there's always a reason to run a fun tentacle set every now and then. Like this thing gets the physical coverage, and it has the physical. It can, with SD, its physical attack can be decent. So with that, our next Pokemon I decided to grab, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna grab one more hazard removal, even though it's not a conventional hazard remover, but it's also really good for momentum and just overall braking power. And the fact that I wanted to grab Blaziken. I love Blaziken. This thing is not allowed to be speed boost, sadly, but it is really good. We can pass in this league. Also, we can pass stats, just not speed, which really sucks. But you know, what can you do? This thing gets some good priority in things like Vacuum Wave, Quick Attack. Sadly, it doesn't get Fake Out, which is really sad. But it's because I originally wanted Infernape, but didn't end up getting it, which is on one end is really bad and really sad, but on another end, I'm okay with it because this really just helps me get some more momentum in the long run. It really lets me get this really just lets me get some nice initiative, as well as potential like setup pass like bulk up. I can run sword stance pass. I just can't run agility pass, sadly. We can agility up with this thing. This thing can also be really good to spam Will-O-Wisp. We can run knockoff on this thing. Like this thing, and also like I said, this thing is a defogger. So while it's not the greatest defogger in the world, it's got me a good speed stat. So we're looking pretty good with our speed tiers here. We got the 90, 75, 121, 103, 100, and 80. And our next mon I wanted to be defensive. I don't wanted to switch into psychic types because I had literally Dialga. My team was looking really psychic weak at this point, so I really wanted a way to capitalize on that. So I went with Uxie, because what better way to switch into a psychic type than with a fat psychic type? And this thing is fat, with the base 130s in both defenses, and not to mention this thing gets some great momentum, and it gets U-turn, it gets memento, it gets some crazy setup moves. So like it gets Calm Mind, it gets Power Up Punch, it gets Heal Bell, which is really nice. It can also get Magic Coat. We can run Stealth Rocks on this thing. This thing is really good at what it does. And not to mention it's incredibly fast, so Calm Mind setup is really easy with this thing. Like, it's crazy what this thing can do. Not to mention it can be like a Resto Chester, so we can run Amnesia on this thing just for fun. This thing is not to be slept on. With the, even though it's base 75, offenses are kind of meh, it gets set up for all those things, which is really nice. And with Levitate, this lets me have at least some kind of ground immunity, even though I do have Tapu Bulu. I'm not going to be bringing Tapu Bulu every week, there's no reason, because I needed some ground immunities that aren't Tornadus. So another ground immunity is really nice. Our next Pokemon, I was like, I'm going to start grabbing some fake out mons to support my Toxic Spike spread. And that, one of them is Ambipom, which is a nice speed tier between Tornadus and Nihilego. And Uxie's a nice speed tier between Nihilego / Tentacruel and Blaziken. But Ambipom, really good Pokemon. It now gets Tail Slap and Skill Link. Ugh. Skill Link makes this thing scary. You can slap a nice Choice Band on this thing. I wouldn't say you could do a King's Rock, but like, you know, this thing can be really good Scarf, this thing can be really good Bandit, this thing can be really good Life Orb. It's just, you can run it like, you can run a fake out Last Resort set. Like, this thing could be crazy. Because I run a normal gym set with like fake out Acrobatics, or I don't know, this thing could be fun. And with like I said, with Tail Slap, this thing could be crazy. Also, more U-turn spam. Also gets Nasty Plot. Also gets Baton Pass. So if I wanted to do that route, this could be a lot of fun to Nasty Plot pass into something like I could Nasty Pass into something like my next mon, or even into Uxie, or into Nihilego, or into Tornadus, or even Dialga. Oof, scary mons. Anyway, our next Pokemon, I wanted Spin Blocker, and I wanted a nice Taunter. Something that can really shut down defoggers, something that's stop hazard set. Most defoggers tend to be kind of slow, so I wanted to grab something that could stop those things. So I decided to grab Miss Maggie's, which is another one of our Z Crystal users. And the reason for that is this thing gets, I believe this thing gets Memento, if I recall correctly. Yes, it gets Memento. It gets Paris Song, which is fun. It gets Taunt, which is useless as a Z Crystal user mon, but this thing also gets Heal Bell and some other crazy techs that I could run. And like this thing is just ridiculously good. Not on top of that, it gets Nasty Plot. So if I wanted to, I could run Nasty Plot and then a Never-Ending Nightmare just blow something away. But this thing is incredibly good. Its speed stat is good. Its coverage is weird and really good. Like Mystical Fire on this thing is a nice, fun tech move. Like base 75 with 100% chance to lower special attack. Whew. It's crazy. This thing gets also some great coverage with things like I think it's Thunderbolt, it gets Energy Ball, it gets Psychic, it gets Power Gem, it gets like this thing is really fun to use, and it gets Dazzling Gleam. Like this thing also, I think it gets Dark Pulse too, doesn't it? Yeah, it gets Dark Pulse. So yeah, this thing is really fun, and it's a great spin blocker because it gets Taunt, and we can taunt down defoggers, we can spin block things all day long. This thing is a deceptively bulky mon too. We can run a physically defensive set and kind of support that with a Will-O-Wisp and make this thing really fat and annoying. And then all of a sudden, just when they think you're about to kill me, just slap Z Heal Bell, and just heal all the way back up to full. And this thing's a lot of fun to use. So I'm really looking forward to using it. Our next Pokemon is another Fake Out support mon, as well as some more priority to go with my some of my great Fake Out spam here, as well as my priority spam to go with Toxic Spikes. And that is Sneasel. I wanted a Dark type because I didn't want to be run over by Psychic types. Because Uxie isn't going to stop him by itself. So, yeah, Uxie is great and all, but I needed a Psychic immunity. And Sneasel provided me with, while we kind of repeated speed tier in this thing, I'm not going to be bringing both Sneasel and Ambipom all the time, you know? They're not going to be coming in the same match unless they just both match up really well. But this thing is really good. Ice Shard spam is really nice. On top of that, knockoff spam is always nice, especially when it's stab. And this thing is some good support with Swords Dance. It can be another Taunter. It can be more Fake Out support. In conjunction with Toxic Spikes, Fake Out plus Toxic Spikes is mean. And this thing can get some interesting coverage for sure. Funny enough is this thing, while it's not like its evolved counterpart and get Nasty Plot, it does get Swords Dance, and it gets some nice fun moves like Throat Chop. It gets it gets your normal coverage moves like Ice Punch, Icicle Crash, Knockoff, Low Kick, Poison Jab, Power Up Punch, Quick Attack, all that jazz. Ice Shard, some great things like that. So this thing is not to be sneezed on. No pun intended, and an Eviolite set is actually quite bulky. So, don't be surprised if you see me run that. Now, the next Pokemon I decided to grab was kind of a meme set, and at this point in the draft, I knew what my last Pokemon was going to be because no one could draft it. I was the last one Megaless, so I decided to save that for my last pick. So I decided to go with having all 12 Mons. So, my next Pokemon, while it is kind of a meme pick, it's a really good switch into Ground Spam, which outside of Tapu Bulu, or even like 1,000 Arrow spam is just incredibly good against me. So I wanted to switch into that. And I decided to grab freaking Shelmet. And yes, it is a Z Crystal holder. Because, fun fact, I wanted to make sure I used up as many of my Z points as possible. And this thing has enough special attack, hilariously enough, to kill a Mega Sharpedo when I'm uninvested with Bug Buzz. It's crazy what this thing can do. But this thing is great. I love it. It can wall freaking with the fact that it gets Recover, it gets Baton Pass, it gets Spikes and Toxic Spikes, and it gets set up like Acid Armor. It gets set up like well, I think it doesn't get Agility, thankfully, so that makes sense. It gets Encore, it gets Final Gambit, it gets Leech Life, it gets, like I said, it gets Recover, it gets Signal Beam, it gets Sludge Bomb, which is fun. Like I said, Acid Armor. It gets also some fun priority and Faint. It gets Infestation if I want to use that. We can Yawn. We can yeah, this thing is really good for Yawn plus Baton Pass into something that can like capitalize on the mon that's got to switch out. Like, this mon is really good and very underrated in the format, and the Violite set is just stupid bulky. Plus, with, like I said, with access to recover, this thing is hard to the one-shot with anything. Especially if I can run like an acid armor set. Oof, evil. Anyway, so our last Pokemon, I wanted to bring him on that could abuse the terrain, as well as give me some more initiative, and just give me a nice, really fast speed tier that's hard to outpace. And that's Mega Manectric. I love Mega Manectric. I've used it in ITL. You guys have seen it before. And with it does get Intimidate, and with Lightning Rod, we don't have to Mega Evolve first turn. Fun fact. So this thing can switch into some electric type attacks. We can proceed to stay in if we think they're going to try to Volt Switch for some odd reason. We can then go on to click something like, I don't know, we can Thunder Wave something, we can, I don't know, this could be a fun set, and we can turn around and just abuse this thing a little bit before it Mega Evolves, and then we can Mega Evolve, Intimidate something, and go for like a Volt Switch, or we can spam some hidden powers, or like, this thing is really good, even though it's got like limited coverage. Things like Signal Beam, Flamethrower, and electric coverage and hidden powers all you're gonna run. Maybe Magnet Rise, but like, this thing isn't gonna be used in very different ways all the time, but like, when it's used, it's gonna be a threat, and I'm looking forward to using it. So that is the team. Oh, by the way, I nicknamed this thing Tar. What else did I forget to nickname? I think that's it. Everything else has a nickname. Anyway, so yeah, that is our team. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you keep an eye out for our week 1 match going up next Sunday. Bye, guys.